Start this. Jon Armstrong, welcome to the Health Business Growth Show. So happy to have you back.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. Always love talking to you and your audience.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we had a chance to catch up earlier, just kind of reviewing, like, because I think this is going to be the third summit for you, third or fourth, I forget the numbers, but you've been with us in our community for quite some time, and honestly, they just love you. They love you and your team and your platform, and this is why it's so exciting to get on a call with you again, is to really review like what's the latest, out there, and I think, as you know, this is bigger than just e-commerce, right? This is really about how you can take data that you know of and be able to aggregate this data and be able to use it to really help, refine what it is that you're doing in your business, as well as, the products that you would want to sell and promote, right? And so I think that's really the challenge, though, right? There's so many things going on in the world of AI that, our audience is, one time they're excited about this, but the other side, they're completely petrified, right? Because we know that there's some 45 some odd thousand AI applications, and there's companies hitting them every day. It's like, we can do this for you, and we can do that for you, right? It gets so overwhelming and so daunting. Um, and listen, they have to run businesses, and they have to, manage their client, their patient load, right? To be able to provide the services to them that are needed to help them, get healthy and stay healthy. So many things in the mix here. So this is why I'm so excited to get on the call with you today, because, not only are they, does your platform allow them to give them the best, products that they can provide to their patients, but it also allows them to find another revenue stream, right? If they don't have something like this, or they do and they're not optimizing it through some of these other platforms, or not selling things beyond supplements, right? There's so many different things that they can use to really propel their businesses forward. And this is the Health Business Growth Show, and this is really what this show is about, helping the practitioner audience really understand, what companies are the best to work with, right? To be able to give them the freedom that they need, right? To be able to make more money so they can go out there and envision bigger dreams and make a bigger impact, and, take that time off they just haven't had. So let's start with the aspect of practitioners having too many things to do, every day. And, we just want to dive into that, because I know that's a loaded question, but, just maybe let's start there, and let's take it from here.
Well, Tim, I'm going to harken back. I wasn't there, but I heard JJ reference at one of the past couple of mind shares how for 15 years she's been talking about systematizing what you do. And in today's AI world, where things are continually going to evolve very quickly and provide a lot of opportunity for practitioners to do a lot of different things more efficiently, being able to have a back end that is systematized, meaning integrated, and the thing that I see practitioners spending a lot of time on are selling in many different channels, meaning they're selling through FullScript. Some brands aren't on FullScript, so they're selling through the patient direct platforms. They're selling some private labels in clinic, or if they have built their own store on an e-commerce platform, they're trying to be a technologist, a call center, a fulfillment house, a warehouse, all those things together. So I think one of the things that practitioners need to think about is the back end and how I can have that completely tied together and integrated. It's the platform that GetHealthy has built. Honestly, I've listened to practitioners now for 8 years. And, we have learning management systems integrated. We have pill pack configuration capability. We have a scripting tool. We have a commerce front end. Because really, if you think about it, if you take a step back at what a practitioner is trying to do, there's three major processes. They're trying to acquire a customer. Maybe that's a patient if you're doing clinical work. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's somebody that you acquire through good content marketing. Secondly, they're trying to service that customer, either clinically with diagnostic tests, or once again, selling product to them through different channels, email, social, blog, newsletter, podcast, whatever it may be. And then long term, they're wanting to keep that customer. and service their health needs, be their health influencer. The people that do the best in our industry and that we see on our platform are ones that have figured out how to acquire customers through things like programs or funnels for diagnostic tests, selling through a front-end tool, then figuring out how to best service them, and then long-term having an ongoing relationship with them. That's going to be even more important with AI because if you think of the model today that I just described that many practitioners are going through, not only is it very inefficient in terms of time for the practitioner. We hear complaints all the time. People are like, well, I do some clinical work during the day and then I got to go home and I got to do my scripts and my kids I spend some time with my family. And then from, 9 to 11, I do scripts and various things like that. So being efficient is going to be entry fee into this new world when AI is allowing us to do so many other things. And practitioners are now have the newest shiny object being AI, and there's many different tools to clone yourself through something like Delphi, or to analyze your diagnostics for you, eventually ending up in a recommendation. Those are front end tools. Where the real gold is going to be mined are those that can take the aggregate data across those channels that you sell through. So when somebody does a diagnostic with you and you give them a holistic plan for their home, for their nutrition, for their supplementation, what did they buy? And how did that impact their health? Today, with the selling model of selling through so many channels, you don't have access to that data. And that data is even more valuable. In fact, it's the most valuable it's ever been given AI. And we have a couple projects going on with AI to be able to look at underlying data that is aggregated across what typically you wouldn't be able to. When you sell through 5 or 10 affiliates, which most practitioners do, who has that data? The affiliate.
Mhm.
You don't know what happened. You might get a commission, but you can't then correlate that to that patient or that consumer that you brought in through content marketing, through a recommendation that you made, or a program that you made, or a funnel that you did. That's where we're headed. And so it's a two-sided edge here, Tim, and that is they got to be efficient, but you really need to be thinking about your data long term, your sales data, your product data, and how valuable that's going to be to you long term.
Boy, that's no, I hear exactly what you're saying, and I think that's their time is extremely valuable, as you know, and they're not computer wizards. They're not, some of them like dabble into this stuff and they understand some of this stuff, and at the end of the day, they are proficient at, doing patient care very well. Many of them run very successful businesses. Some are just saying, okay, I need to scale this thing up. But where am I going to find the time, right? So that's where this really comes down to is where are they going to be able to find some of this time to be able to, leverage, exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, let me say this. In any business, a company's got to take a step back and say, how are we going to differentiate ourselves? What are the things that we need to do that only we can do? And this is what makes a business. You need to build and own that and make it world class. So in our industry, it's typically that patient care and those patient outcomes. Um, then you look at the things that are secondary or tertiary to that. What are things that I just need to happen in order for me to actually get the health outcomes that I want? I'll give you an example. Fulfillment. Okay. When you're trying to recommend a product, you just want it to get there and get there in a timely fashion. We're in an industry where um, uh, Amazon has this 2-day shipping thing. It's not as important in our industry because um, it's not we're looking for cellular level change that takes 90 plus days. So if it's a couple more days, that's actually not an issue. We don't see a lot of people complaining when somebody are not getting their products in 1 or 2 days. So
Mhm.
fulfillment just needs to not be a problem for you. Okay. So you need to find a good fulfillment partner. It needs to be cost effective. So you need to think about things like geography and weights and where you're shipping from. Okay, if you have private labels, which many practitioners do. So how are practitioners, going back to your question, how are practitioners going to create more time for them? Focus on those things that only you can do, that make your business differentiated, that you like to do, and then find partners. You know, in the tech industry, we use the mantra of buy, build, partner. Okay, so you're going to build, but you're going to differentiate yourself. You're going to buy or partner when you're not. Okay. And I think that's the same thing in any business. It's like, let's create our core competencies. Let's own those. Let's make those the best we can. Then let's find other partners to do, I mentioned fulfillment, but to do my technology, you know, to do my integrations, to warehouse my product, to allow me to do pill packs, to allow me to do AI. I think practitioners are going to have a lot of opportunity with AI. They are today, and they're going to have more, but they still need to be going through that same mindset of, okay, I want to use AI to help me be differentiated in my clinical business or in my marketing business, but I still need to be efficient in terms of everything else around that. So find partners. And one of the things that we see in the software industry is we see over time where point solutions get aggregated together and linked together to be a consolidated solution. It happened in CRM back in the 90s, where it used to be Salesforce management and customer relationship management and all these aspects of CRM. And today there's many big platforms like a Salesforce.com that do that in an integrated fashion. I was meeting with a well-known person in the industry recently, and his business advisor said, John, this industry has not consolidated all the components needed to go to market. Your platform's the first one that has done that. And so I know it's self-serving for me and our company, but I really do think people should kick the tires to understand all the things that we've built over time. You know, a lot of your audience might have had
Hmm.
experience with us 5 years ago when all we did was e-commerce. Today, we do a whole host of things in an integrated fashion that allow people to be practitioners to be more efficient and more effective. And I think with AI, it's going to be even more critical that they're able to be efficient. And once again, I mentioned that data. So long-winded answer there, Tim, but
Yeah.
I think that buy, build, partner mentality for a practitioner so they can focus in on what they like to do and what makes them good at what they do is super
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. I think you bring up a great point. And, the one of the points with AI is even though it's daunting, it can really provide a lot of clarity for individuals and their businesses. And, it can help make things more efficient, right? But it doesn't mean that it's going to simplify. Right. It may have some simplification, but it's when you still have disparate systems, a sales system, a marketing system, and you're trying to use AI, different AIs to do different things. It can start to the complexity can start to increase, right? Anytime you introduce a new application. So, you mentioned the industry. I've seen a number of industries in healthcare and tech and others that have started out with a lot of great, products or solutions that were developed for specific things. But when we started to see the maturity happen, you started to see these consolidated systems, right? They started to come together and really pull together to provide simplicity, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can make the complex simple, like you've done an amazing job. And I think that's what you've done with your platform is that you've made it simple, but the back end is complex, but they don't see the back end, right? All they see is what the buyer, they want to enhance the experience of the buyer. And as we were talking before we got on here, we were talking a bit about the buying experience versus the shopping experience. And I thought this was a really great thing that I thought, we should bring up today is to really talk about, the difference between those two.
Um, Love to. Um, you know, I mentioned the three major processes: acquiring a customer, servicing a customer, and then long term influencing their health. The amount that you make over that lifetime of having that customer, it's called lifetime value. It's how much can I add, how much value can I add, and how much can I derive out of that relationship. Let me bring that into context of purchasing products. When you send somebody to a third party, it's a buying experience. You're saying, go buy this, either through a recommendation, let's say to FullScript, or with an affiliate link. Go buy this. Your outcome is somewhat binary, meaning they're either going to buy it or they're not, or they're going to go to Amazon. Okay, there's another topic, since most of the major supplement companies are now on Amazon.
Yep.
So that's a buying experience, and that's a chance that you're up to bat, that you want them to buy what you've suggested, or you've written, or you've talked about on a podcast, whatever it may be. If you only, let's use affiliate as a illustrator here. If you send them to an affiliate product, they're either going to buy that affiliate product or not. That's a buying experience. Let's talk about a shopping experience. How many times have any of us, or I should say all of us, gone to Amazon to buy one thing and we buy 3 or 4? Happens all the time. Okay. That's because Amazon creates a shopping experience. If all Amazon did was create a portal and then send you to a bunch of third parties, Amazon wouldn't be Amazon. In fact, what it would be is Yahoo, because that's what Yahoo was. Yahoo was a portal, and it went away because Amazon beat them, because Amazon created a shopping experience and developed trust with us. Well, as a practitioner, you have inherent trust with your audience. So if you'll evolve from sending them to 5 or 10 or more buying experiences where the outcome is either they buy or they don't, if you send them into a branded capability that you put together that has multiple categories, multiple different products that they might buy. We'll use the example of mom buying her hormone product from you. Yes, she's probably going to buy that hormone product. If you send her to FullScript, there's still a pretty high likelihood she's going to buy that one product. She's not going to shop. FullScript is not a shopping experience, it's a buying experience. And so no one wants to navigate through thousands and thousands of products on one store to shop. That's not what they do. But if you've curated, let's say we typically see a single shingle practitioner having between 200 and 400 products on their store. They might have 15 to 20 supplement brands. They'll have 1 or 2 major brands that they use a lot of. Then they'll have a lot of the long tail brands. They'll have a new Fatty 15 patented product, or they'll have some peptides on their store from these smaller vendors. And then you have these products that are typically sold in an affiliate model, but on your store through the connections that we built and the products that we make available. We have over 400 brands, thousands and thousands of products that you sell directly. All you got to do is curate that 200 to 400 products. Now, when you send mom to buy that hormone product, some percentage of those moms are going to shop because they're all about time. They're all about keeping their family healthy. If they see you have some children's chewables or a men's one a day for your husband, or you do a funnel on or a blog post on detoxifying the body with an infrared sauna. And she reads that and she goes to your store to buy that infrared sauna. Guess what she's going to do? She's going to shop. Not always. I'm not talking 100%, but if 5 to 10% of your buyers, instead of buying that one thing or not, or going to Amazon, if they're buying from you, your conversion rate will be higher, but also your average order value will be higher. Meaning she's going to buy that hormone. She's also going to buy that one a day for her husband, and she might buy some skincare or whatever it may be. We see average order values in the $130 to $180 range versus a typical supplement. You're good if you're getting in the $80 to maybe $90 range on an average order value. So just do the math there. You're selling $40 to $80 more every time you're up to bat because you've created a shopping experience. Super important. And it works. My background in e-commerce came from a company I ran where Amazon was our first customer. Okay. And so what I have built into our platform is the way the world's best online retailer works. They created a shopping experience, not a portal for you to go shop 10 different places. So practitioners should be thinking about that. How can I create that shopping experience? Because they trust me. Three buyer values in this industry. This comes from the NBJ: quality, trust, and convenience. It's a study they did a number of years ago. Quality is quality product and quality of service. That then inherently builds trust. So what does it come down to? It comes down to convenience. And that convenience is you creating a shopping experience for mom. So mom buys from you and you become her health products provider. That's not John's opinion. That is fact of the way e-commerce works.
Well, all right, you brought up the A word. Let's dive into Amazon, because this of course is the one that, everybody's so used to, right? And you made mention, 2 days. Well, we're starting to see it in 2 hours, right? Sometimes they even think they'll send it to you before you even think that you're going to order it, right? I mean, it's getting to that point where, they can have it on your doorstep in 2 hours. So, but everybody's familiar with that, right? So, and I think that is, and you also mentioned that these companies are putting their products on Amazon as well, right? So it becomes a challenge, right? To really try to maintain that customer. So do you have any success stories where you've seen, we talked about a little bit earlier about, how they can create that experience and get that, get that buyer to not jump over to Amazon to say, okay, can I go find this cheaper, right? I know it's you're not able to do that, but are there efficient ways to be able to make this, simpler for them? And of course, you're the trusted source and you're making recommendation to these products. But once you make these recommendations, now they become products, right? Now they can go see, okay, who else has got these things that I can get? So I know that's a somewhat of a loaded question, but I think it's, the elephant in the room here, right? We have to say, how can a practitioner continually build their business and scale their e-commerce platform by having them not go buy these things, with an affiliate or with a third party like Amazon?
I'm gonna pick up where I just left off.
Okay, great.
Trust, quality, and convenience. Okay, so it comes down to convenience, um, and that's the shipping. So how do you beat that? I mean, Amazon's is a formidable foe.
Mhm.
Well, Amazon doesn't have the trust that a practitioner has with their audience, and Amazon doesn't have the quality control either. Um, I can I can show you a bottle of Microbiome Labs products that somebody sent a picture of me to me, and it has a couple green, a couple brown, a couple white pills in it. And they're like, "What is
Mm.
this?" And I'm like, "Where'd you get it?" And they're like, "Amazon." I'm like, that is a fake product. Okay. And there's studies that I'm sure many practitioners have seen where somebody took 8 supplements and 8 of the 10 supplements didn't have the ingredients that were listed on the label. So that quality aspect is not there. And that's one of the things that we've done. We have a naturopathic doctor on staff. We take recommendations from your clients, our practitioners in the industry. That's who is on our platform. So we build quality into the product offering. There's more trust. There should be more trust. A practitioner, I've seen practitioners saying, I tell people, hey, don't buy from Amazon just because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be good product, you know, engineered for bioavailability, tested for efficacy, all those things that our doctor grade brands do. But still, it comes to convenience. And um, as a consumer, if you send me to some third party, let alone multiple third parties to buy, it really is an invitation to go to Amazon. You're like, you want me to go buy this home cleaning product from some third party, and then you want the supplements to come from this distributor and this brand, this patient direct, and here's a water filtration system. Well, I'm just going to go to Amazon. It's an invitation. So, you know, you're doing the easy route. I'm using an affiliate code. Here, take this affiliate code. It's easy, but for the long-term value, you're really just reinforcing Amazon's value proposition as opposed to reinforcing your value proposition. So it gets down to that shopping experience. Provide a branded shopping experience under your brand. They trust you. They don't know who that third party is. They're glad you sent them to them, and yes, you're going to get some sales. But if you start to reinforce the mindset of I'm your health products provider, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see better conversion rate and a higher average order value, which are major metrics in true e-commerce. But you're going to see people come and buy when you're not recommending. They're gonna read your blog on detoxifying the body with an infrared sauna, and they're going to buy from you. And then their mentality is going to be changing. And as they see that next thing come up, a plunge pool. Hey, did you hear about plunge pools? Man, those things are great. I was hearing some people at a party talk about XYZ. Instead of going to Amazon to find that plunge pool, they're going to go to your store and be like, my functional medicine practitioner actually has become my health products provider. I'm going to see what he or she has. Boom, they go to your store, they put a search, and they're like, plunge pool, cold pool, and you have one. They might ask you about it, or they might read a blog post, or a post that you do on social. So you can kind of see the reinforcing nature of um, changing consumer behavior by taking that quality and trust that you have an advantage of and trying to meet the customer experience, the shopping experience that Amazon provides. That will drive better lifetime value for you. And honestly, you'll get better health outcomes. You still don't know what they're buying from
Mhm.
whatever third party. Um, so, we estimate, and there's no science to this. I don't have a number on this, but if 20% of supplement purchases are leaking outside of the industry to Amazon, which is probably a pretty safe number, just think of the margin for a practitioner. I hear practitioners are very, very attuned to margin nowadays, and they think about the margin for an individual sale. I call that transactional profitability. Well, for those 20% of sales that go to Amazon, your margin is zero. You don't get the sale. So if you average in 20% of your sales at zero margin, that brings down your effective margin for everything you're doing. So creating that shopping experience, making it convenient, leveraging the quality and trust that you already have inherent in your relationship with those folks will drive more purchases of what you're recommending and more broadly purchases for the family and secondary products, tertiary products, plunge pools, etc. So I can't be more in favor of having a shopping experience, however you do it, under your brand in this industry where you have that inherent trust.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it really comes down to that. And if you continue to derive value and you continue to, be that trusted source, that trusted authority, knowing that those things those products have been vetted and they know they're clean and they're coming from reputable companies and they also bundle them together, right, as part of a program, whatever it may be. It's the more that you can continue to provide value and continue to have that one click, right, where they can just order the bundle or do whatever they need to do, the simpler it becomes for them. And I think that's what every consumer is looking for, right? They're looking for a more trusted source. They're looking for more trusted products as well as a simpler, shopping experience. Last question, and we may have dabbled on this before, but I think it's important to bring it back up again because we talked about AI, how it really continues to become a game changer. Like, how can the practitioners, how can these health business owners, utilize AI to, of course, make themselves more efficient, but also grow their sales in their business?
Well, um, you know, there are aspects of AI from customer service to analyzing diagnostics to now I think we're starting to see the era of clones come up. I actually saw that posted on the Mindshare Facebook group this week or this weekend. And I think those tools are going to be helpful. There are going to be a lot of them. There's going to be a lot of people coming at practitioners. I'm sure there already are saying my solution's the best. So make sure that you're working with somebody that's thinking about AI, not just for their business, but for your business. It's one of the things we've had AI embedded in our platform for a while. We have AI cross-sell, upsell. We have some AI customer service features that are coming out, some product discovery features coming out. We're looking at yes, how can we be more efficient as a partner with practitioners from a customer service side of things, but also how can we help them add value? So let's use the clone example. So you have a clone. I had one practitioner tell me, I'm going to have it in 20 languages. I'm going to have people all over the world talking to me, and it's going to be me because I have so much, I have a book and I got data and all this kind of thing. That's great. Um, who's your catcher? If that's your pitch, who's your catcher? And if you're saying, my catcher, I'm going to monetize it, it's going to be great that people are interacting with you, and you're going to be paying for those interactions the way the LLMs work. So you're going to be paying for that. But then what is the real value that you're able to give to them and that you're able to make something off of that value? It comes down to, selling products is a major part of the business model in this industry for a practitioner. And so the AI tools are going to be great. But as one AI development company told me, they said, John, we think we can do the whole front end, everything from, helping a practitioner to going direct to consumer, etc. The thing we can't do, we can't manage a merchant account. We can't manage know your customer with the government. We can't manage returns. We can't manage financial transactions. We can't manage flow of funds. We can't manage physical goods in a warehouse. We can't manage fulfillment, putting products into a package and send them to the customer. And we can't manage logistics. We can't manage shipping. So one of the things that we saw 18 months ago or so was, hey, we're going to have this infrastructure for a practitioner as AI proliferates, which we're probably in the second inning of the game, maybe. You're really going to want to make sure that you have that catcher that's going to help you monetize all the
Mhm.
possibilities that are going to continue to come at you. So keep that in mind as you do your clone, or as you do your specific play in AI. It's going to come down to that shopping experience that you can create for you to maximize your value that you can deliver and the money that you can make as a practitioner.
Well, John, a tremendous value that you just dropped on the show today. So I want to thank you so much for your time. And you can find John and the Get Healthy on the Health Biz Hub. We will drop the link to John's listing on the Health Biz Hub. That's healthbizhub.com. And you can find John at Get Healthy. John, again, thank you so much for your time today. And listen, we look forward to always having these conversations because you're always such a great guest and deliver so much value for the audience. So I want to thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Tim. Enjoyed it as always.